Hello guys, Termex here, and in today's video, I'm going to be covering every single Borderlands reference that is in the Terraria Calamity mod. Now recently Calamity just went to 1.4 on Team Mod Loader, which is the newest updated version of Terraria, which is pretty cool, and I could finally make this video. I just love the Borderlands series so much that I wanted to see the Borderlands series outside of just Borderlands itself. Now major disclaimer, this is references specifically from the Calamity mod. I don't think there's any Borderlands references in normal Terraria. First thing we're going to show off is a fan favorite, which is the Infinity Pistol. This is a great weapon, very iconic from Borderlands 2, where it was a Vladov variant, and the name kind of speaks for itself. The gun was a pistol that, well, shot forever without consuming ammo. Now, within Terraria, it fires a barrage of energy bolts that split and bounce. That wasn't really a thing in Borderlands 2 unless you were playing Gauge. Maybe that's a double reference, but I might just be looking into it a little too hard. Or you can right-click to fire a barrage of normal bullets. So I wonder if right-click simply means you still consume bullets. It's not like you shoot infinitely. Oh, and they even have the Infinity Pistol pattern. Like, Terraria is a 2D game, so you can't really see patterns like you could in a first-person shooter where it's 3D. But it really does pull off that figure 8 feeling from Borderlands 2. That is really cool that they included that within this. Let's actually make it nighttime and spawn in some enemies and see how well this thing actually does with normal musket bullets. I'm not going to use any special bullets until I get to another reference later on, but let's see here. Make spawn rates. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Make spawn rates a little bit more. And yeah, this thing is very nice. It looks like it does consume reduced ammo, so I don't think it's 100% the Infinity Pistol, but it definitely has all the traits of the Infinity to make me know that it's from Borderlands. Really cool, really cool. I don't know if I could see this killing bosses. I mean, we could try it on the Destroyer. Oh, wow, okay. Maybe I was a little bit wrong. Yeah, if you use a ricochet bullet... Jesus. So if you use ricochet bullets, this gun is very viable. I mean, fair warning, I am using Vortex armor, which is Moonlord endgame armor for the range class, but still, that is very nice damage coming from this little pistol. Alright, up next from Borderlands as well, we have the Butcher Shotgun, which was a Hyperion pearlescent shotgun from Borderlands 2. And now the big effect with this gun was it would actually give ammo back to the magazine, meaning you didn't consume as much ammo. But it seems like in Terraria, it does have the Hyperion effect to where the longer you shoot it, the more accurate it is. So we're going to start off with a pretty wide spread here. And I imagine the more and more we shoot, we will be getting more and more accurate. And yes, we are. You can see that it's almost turning into a full-on beam. We are shooting a little bit faster. Overall, pretty good. This is definitely a early game weapon, judging by the damage and the amount of bullets it's taken to kill a zombie. So I mean, not bad. It definitely gets the reference going, but I don't see you killing any bosses with this thing. And now up next is the Hive rocket launcher, which is also from Borderlands 2. And when you killed Saturn, he had a chance to drop this, which was a blue rocket launcher. And when you shot it, it released, well, corrosive projectiles that actually were bees. And this Hive does the same thing. It even has the cool green effects as if it was corrosive damage. Oh, that is very cool. Okay, we have a little bit too many zombies here. The way they got the bees to spawn out of that and the corrosive particles to reference towards the corrosive only element within Borderlands 2, that is really awesome. This is a really cool reference. Up next, we do have the Shredder in Terraria, but this is actually the Shredifier assault rifle from Borderlands 2, and this was a pretty great gun in the game until they added OP8 and then it kind of went to shit. But within Terraria itself, it is a pretty awesome gun, and it even has a reference to Borderlands 2 where it says the myth, the legend, the weapon that drops more frames than any other. If you don't know about this, if you played Salvador early on in Borderlands 2 and you dual wielded these Shredifiers and you had enough fire rate, your game would actually lag because you would go over fire rate cap and just do insane things to your Xbox. I don't know if it was a PC issue, but I remember when I played on the 360, if you dual wielded these guns, your game was pretty much bricked to like 20 FPS. But let's see it damage wise. It does have the similar thing to the Infinity in terms of the ricochet bullets, which does make sense because within this mod pack, you have to actually craft this first and then use this gun to make the Infinity pistol. And overall, it is pretty nice. You are shooting multiple projectiles, which maybe that's just a coding thing, or maybe we're just shooting so much that it's the impression that we're shooting that many projectiles. But they did a really good job with the fire rate. It's kind of like a burst normally, Unless you use a full auto mode. Oh no, it's a burst either way. Okay, so that's a little weird. Maybe that was for performance, but it's not full auto, but it still does a lot of damage and has a bunch of projectiles. Overall, pretty well done. And now up next, we have a fan favorite. If you played Borderlands 2, you most likely use this rocket launcher, which is the Norfleet. This thing doesn't need any introduction, does it? It's the freaking Norfleet. Had so much AoE. Oh god, I'm excited to try this. Let's put spawn rates for monsters on 30 times. Let them funnel in here and see the Norfleet's AoE damage. You could see when I'm holding the Norfleet on screen. You could actually, if I zoom in here, let me zoom in. You could see me holding the Norfleet. Look how good they did with the sprite. By the looks of it, this is a Shock Norfleet, which is pretty cool. I mean, Shock was a pretty good Norfleet, especially if you're playing Anarchy Gauge. This is actually pretty awesome. The AoE on it is very nice, and oh my gosh, that is very satisfying. But can it boss? That is the age-old question. Let's spawn in the Destroyer once again and see if he can give us the big damage. Oh, one shot. Oh, we're gonna kill him in 4 shots. 4 shots on the Destroyer, and he is completely gone. That is a interesting rocket launcher. That is really, really good. I'm glad they made it overpowered in this mod because it deserves it. It's, you know, the Norfleet at the end of the day. And now up next, we do have the Decimator, or Deciminator? Deciminator, that's how you pronounce it. Now this is actually a reference to the Interfacer, which was a shotgun from the Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt DLC within Borderlands 2, where basically it shot a projectile and then a little bit of a curve from each side. So it's like 3 sets of projectiles that all interfaced onto one point, and it looks like when there's no enemies around, it's a basic shotgun, but I'm willing to bet that when we actually get some enemies spawned in here, that we will get a proc from the Interfacer. Is it not nighttime? Okay, it is. And yes, it is. We do get that nice little proc where it's like everything homing in on a singular target. It's actually hitting other targets as well. Oh, there we go. That was perfect right there, how it all homes in from every direction. And I like how it has a more AoE feel to it, to where you don't just have to shoot one enemy and that it's more viable than just single target. That's honestly pretty cool. I'm learning to appreciate the fact that these developers gave these Borderlands weapons the Borderlands feel and unique like perks and special effects. The fact that they can convey a 3D feeling interaction on a 2D plane is honestly insane to me. And now up next, we do have the Thunderstorm, which is actually a reference to the Storm sniper rifle, which was a pearlescent that you probably dropped when you were farming the Doctor's Orders mission on the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve, but it actually has a Tiny Tina reference within it, which is pretty cool, which is Make It Rain. If you don't know the famous quote from Tiny Tina when you kill a raid boss or anything like that, she's like, "Make it rain," and then the whole, I'll probably play an audio clip so you guys know what I'm talking about.
Make it rain!
But this basically does what the Storm did in Borderlands 2, to where it makes a storm projectile and makes a big boom boom. Now, it was a little bit more in-depth, where it made like 8 or 9 orbs and then they like locked onto a target, but this does well. And honestly, I think when it comes to AoE damage, I would imagine this goes through walls. I mean, we could check right here. No, it actually does not go through walls. I was wrong about that. I assumed it would because of the way the bullets are, and it is cool. I guess the orb is doing the little static thing to multiple targets, as you can see here, because this is just one singular bullet and it's hitting like 4 or 5 of these target dummies. Really cool. I actually like this one. Up next, we have another fan favorite, which is the Conference Call. This was another Hyperion shotgun that dropped from the Warrior at the end of Borderlands 2, and it was very famous because of the Conference Call B glitch, and I guess I will throw in the other item, which is the B. This is another Borderlands reference to when you're at full HP, your damage is increased based on your damage reduction. Now, this is a reference to Borderlands because the B shield within Borderlands, when you're at full shield, you got more damage. And I imagine they added the damage reduction thing just to make this balance within Terraria. But if you popped on the B shield and the Conference Call before it got nerfed, it used to do so much damage. I don't know if it'll still do more damage in Terraria, but we're going to test it out right now. It was really fun. Like early on in the Borderlands 2 heydays, you could just melt raid bosses in a few seconds. And yeah, it's definitely doing the special effect on the Conference Call, and the B shield is working. It looks like we're hitting for 140 when it's only supposed to do 59 damage. So yeah, on top of our emblems and stuff, I imagine we're getting more damage from that, but it is definitely doing its job, and honestly really cool. I kind of wish there was like an amp sound from Borderlands 2, but that would probably be really difficult to code in, to be honest with you. Overall, pretty solid reference. Now up next, we do have the Defiler. If you do not know, the Defiler is actually a revolver from Borderlands 1, which shot corrosive damage, and it was a pretty awesome pistol in general. It dealt massive damage, and it had a special effect to where a projectile would like reoccur and then basically do a bunch of corrosive damage, and the way they did it within Terraria is pretty dang similar. Let's make it nighttime and put the spawn rates back up once more, and we can see the special effect of when we shoot a target, it would actually make more corrosive projectiles going onto other enemies, which is honestly pretty freaking cool and very practical if you're looking to do AoE damage or just doing certain events like the Goblin Invasion or things like that. It does do a hefty amount of damage, so I imagine this could go into mid to late game if you build correctly for it, obviously. But this is honestly really cool. I love that. It is a kinda slow weapon, but respectfully so, considering it just ricochets and hits 4 targets with a single bullet, and these are normal musket bullets, so you can get this from the arms dealer and do all this damage, which is pretty crazy. Up next, we have the CryoPhobia, and now this is actually a Borderlands pre-sequel reference because there is the Pyrophobia from Borderlands 2, but in Borderlands, the pre-sequel, it is the CryoPhobia. And what it does in Borderlands is it makes a projectile which basically explodes cryo randomly as it keeps going, but now in Terraria, it does the same exact thing to where you shoot the projectile, it bursts, and it keeps doing that until it finally finishes off. Really, really well done. Like, wow, that is very nice to look at. Let's test this out on the target dummies, see if we could time it correctly. We kind of timed it well. That is really freaking awesome. The way that it like expands on that cloud. Oh yeah. And it does the frostburn status effect. That is awesome. Honestly, I might have to try this out in my next playthrough, and it's a magic weapon. Now, this is something that is really, really cool. They did really well with this one. Now, that is all the guns in terms of references to Borderlands, but next up, we do have 2 melee weapons, the first being the Evil Smasher. Now, the Evil Smasher was a assault rifle within Borderlands 2, if you do remember the Evil Smasher glitch, but in this, it's actually a melee, and it has the same effect, to where when you kill an enemy, you get more damage, more stat bonuses, and all that kind of fun stuff. So when we kill something, we're going to get more damage, and it's going to keep stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. See, we just hit 160 there, and then we're going to hit 300. Then we hit 199, and I'm swinging a little bit faster. 200, 240. We're swinging even faster now. 255, 273, and you get the premise. The more and more that we're going to kill, the faster we swing, and the more damage we do. And honestly, really well done. That could be really fun if you're doing a melee playthrough. Now, the next weapon here is going to be the Face Melter, and it's not actually the weapon itself that is more of a reference, but it's actually the red text that says, "Woo! Fantasy World." This is actually Mr. Torg from the Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep DLC, and I guess it's kind of a Mr. Torg reference because he played the guitar in Wonderlands. I don't know. I doubt they accounted for that.
Whoop, time out. I gotta take this. This Tina.
It's Mr. Torg! Tina! Put me in the gate!
Okay, the gatekeeper is now Mr. Torg.
Wow! To see you! Wow!
And then for the last melee weapon, we have the SwordSplosion. And if you know from Borderlands 2, the SwordSplosion was amazing. It's even better in Wonderlands with the new Torque buffs. But traditionally, it is a explosive Torque shotgun that shoots well swords. And I imagine if we up the spawn rate just a little bit, make it nighttime, and see what the SwordSplosion can actually do. Remember, it is a melee weapon, so I do not know what to expect here. I'm hoping we just kind of shoot a few swords and kill things. Oh, wow. That is very nice to look at. That is a single swing of this weapon, and it just clears. It is just clearing the entire map. And then if we hold it down, oh my, that is beautiful to look at. All of the swords that are rainbow. This is just so visually appealing, and seeing, oh jeez. 200 out of 10 for the SwordSplosion. It only does 63 damage. You can probably get that pretty early on, but I would honestly make a whole build around that in this game if I could. I'm going to go to a safer area while I talk about the rest of these items because they are gear slot items, meaning that they are not necessarily something I could really show you unless you really care that much, but they're more or less items within the game of Borderlands that were shields. Now, the first one being the Transformer, which was a shield in Borderlands 2 that had a absorb chance and electrified enemies, and it does the same exact thing within Terraria, where taking damage releases blasts of sparks. So I'm gonna let him hit me. And yep, there we go. When we get hit, it does proc the electric damage, and we actually heal from it. Is that part of the shield? It doesn't look like the shield actually heals you, but something interesting is enemy bullets do half the damage to you and are reflected back at the enemy for 800% of their original damage. I'm gonna spawn in some pirate captains, and oh wow. Oh, well, they killed me. But the shield was doing some pretty insane damage prior to me getting melted by a pirate captain. Honestly, really good piece of gear. Up next, we do have the flame-licked shell, and this gives us less movement speed, a crap ton of defense, and a bunch of immunities. This is actually a reference to the Fabled Tortoise, because when you put on that shield within Borderlands 2, you moved incredibly slow. But I will imagine this makes us a lot tankier than before. I did die to a few shots, but now, yeah, this dude literally hits me for absolutely nothing. Yeah, definitely really good if you're doing a tank build, something you would want to pick up if you could counteract the movement speed, because I have wings on and I'm able to run pretty fast, even though it has a 35% decreased movement speed. Up next, we do have the Evolution. Now, the Evolution is a reflection shield within Borderlands 2. Now, within Terraria, it's a little bit different. This reflects projectiles only, kind of like it did, but I don't really see the use of it unless you're going against projectile enemies, because as you can see here, with melee enemies, it doesn't really do anything. And up next, we do have the Regenerator, which is a reference to the Neogenator, which was a cracked health shield if you're looking for health survivability, and this kind of does the same thing. We reduce our max HP by 50%, but we get significant life regeneration. So yeah, I know we're only losing 1 health at the moment, but we are getting a cracked amount of life regen. Let's actually spawn in another pirate captain. They could, oh wow, that hurts. But if we look in the top right, that is pretty fast health regeneration for not even standing still. And I imagine if you get campfire buffs, heart lantern buffs, this will be even faster. So it may be for a niche setup where you're tanky. I don't know. It's very practical, but it can make a fun meme build if you wanted to. And for the final Borderlands reference within Terraria, we have the Hide of Ashram-Deus. This is a reference to the Hide of Terramorphous, which was a raid boss within Borderlands 2, and basically gave you fire immunity, gave other people fire, and all that kind of stuff. And wow, that was insane. This might be the best accessory in Terraria. That was crazy. Let's put on 30 times spawn rates to see what this thing could do. It gives people damage, and then there's like stars. God mode is off. God mode is completely disabled. This is the accessory doing this. Wow. Now, if you're a melee character, or if you're a glass cannon character, I think anyone can benefit from using this. This is probably the best gear item from the Borderlands references. I mean, can I realistically just run into enemies and... yeah. Yes, I can. But that's really it, guys. That is every single Borderlands reference within the Terraria Calamity mod. I know this video is probably a little bit longer than I want it to be, but I wanted to make a video on it since nobody else did, and it's honestly really fun. I never posted this game before, and if you want to see more things Terraria, I guess let me know in the comments, but I'm mainly a Borderlands guy and wanted to expand my horizons, I guess you could say, because Wonderlands is doing pretty terrible. But if you guys did enjoy today's video, please make sure you guys hit a like on it, as it really helps out the video get spread out. And make sure you guys subscribe so you never miss out on another video from me. But you guys have a terrific day, and I'll see you guys later.